everybody, it's Michelle, and I wanted to use my Nativity Scene die set again. I just really love this die set. I'll leave you guys a link to that as well as other products that I'm using in the description below. I used this set last year on a gift tag and I loved it, and I wanted to make a Christmas card using this set this year. So I've done a little bit of work ahead of time. I cut out that nativity scene. It's a border die, so it doesn't cut the bottom edge. That will just be based on how close you put it to the edge of your paper, or you cut your own clean edge there. That way you can just cut it off of the border there, which I really like. And I cut 4 of those and glued them together for a little bit of thickness and dimension on the front of my card. And also in silver glitter cardstock, I cut out the star. And if you guys remember, there are 2 options of stars in that set. And I chose this narrow one here in a silver glitter. I think that's going to be beautiful. I've got another die that I'm using today, and that is a word die that says Silent Night. And I love how it's so swirly and just the fancy writing on that. And here is the die I used for that. And I will leave you guys a link to that also. So if you guys remember, on my tag using this set last year, I did some ink blending to create my background and sprinkled on some glittery embossing powder as stars in the background. And I really, really loved that look. But I thought this year I would show you guys a little bit easier of a way. If you don't have all the ink colors and ink blending tools and embossing powders, heat tools, things like that, you can really make this scene very simply. So I'm starting out with a black card base, and this is a Simon Says stamp card base that came in one of my card kits. And then I've got just sort of a gray-blue kind of color of cardstock. It was in a really, really old pack that I had. And if I can still get a link for that, I'll include that for you. But if not, just go ahead and pick a bluish sort of nighttime sky color that you think is going to look good. I've got one of those in 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 to exactly fit the outside of my card. I've got another one that I cut just a little bit smaller at 4 by 5 1/4, so we can put that on the inside as a lighter colored surface to write our sentiment on. And then I've got a frame of a gray-blue kind of glittery cardstock. And I decided to go ahead and use the frame because I had that left over. I had a piece of cardstock cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 for a card front like that. And I decided to use a rectangle die and cut out a smaller panel instead. So I was left with the glittery frame in my stash, so I decided to use that. And that came from, let's see, that's Coordinations in the color Ball Gown. And that is so pretty. I love that glittery, soft, muted kind of blue. And if you wanted to, you could use this as your entire background. That would be very pretty as a starry night. I think I would like that as well. But I think it's going to give an interesting look to have that starry look just around the border. So with these already glued together and all of my die cutting done, we can just start assembling. And on this piece, I've got it in my tweezers because it's still sort of drying. I just cut it out of regular white cardstock, and then I coated it with the Nuvo Aqua Shimmer pen. So I just brushed that over that, and I'm letting it dry a little bit. You could use a white glitter cardstock if you wanted to, but I didn't want it entirely glittery, just a little bit of sparkle. And that Nuvo Shimmer pen gives a very subtle sparkle. Okay, so I'm going to start putting my card base together first. I'm going to go ahead and put my piece on the inside. I like the art glitter glue because I've got time to shift it around, make sure it's exactly where I want it before I press it down. And then we can close that up and work on our front. So again, I've got a piece of that, but this one is the entire size of the front of the card. Just to be our entire background and sort of get rid of that black on the card front. But I do want the black to be the card base because that plays off of our silhouette image here on our die. Okay, so now to adhere my frame, I'm going to pop it up on some adhesive foam. And this is the Sizzix adhesive sheets. And I'm just going to cut that into some strips. I like this because it's black and it's going to fade away into the shadow of my layering, but give that frame some dimension. I wouldn't want a white adhesive foam showing from behind that. I think that would kind of stand out a little too much, and I thought this would be perfect. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn that over, and we'll just start putting our adhesive foam on here. Now we can peel off our backers and adhere that to the front of our card. This Sizzix adhesive sheet gives a very thick dimension. For this, we want to be very careful and make sure that we get it lined up from the very start. Because that doesn't want to come back up if you get it stuck in the wrong place. Okay, so just press all that down, and then I'm going to turn it over backwards and go ahead and cut off any excess that's hanging over the edge. And see how you get that nice dimension? I think that is really great. So it's sort of like a framed image, and I think that's really fun. So now, in order to fit this in there, we're going to have to cut it just a little bit. So I'm going to decide what part of the image I want to keep. So I think I'm going to go right up the center of that little rounded building there. And that's going to give me until right here, and then that'll fit perfectly just inside of our frame. So I'm just going to go ahead, turn that over, put some art glitter glue on, and I'll be sure to include a link for the art glitter glue along with the fine metal tip that I used for this. And if you don't have that, you can also use a glue pen or something like that. Okay, so I'm going to get that down in there where I want it. And then I'm just going to put my Silent Night in there right like that. I think I may actually just let it overlap some of those buildings there. I think that'll be okay. Okay, now for our star. I think I want to give it just a little bit of dimension. So I'm just going to take a little tiny piece of that foam adhesive, and I'm going to cut the corners off and make this little kind of octagon piece there. And stick that just on the back side of the center of my star there. Peel off that backer and use my tweezers to help me place it. I think since I've got that same amount of thickness and dimension, I'm going to let it overlap my frame a little bit. And that top part go up there. Actually sneak a little bit of glue on the underside of that to help that stick. And for one last piece of interest, I'm going to use some adhesive gems. Actually just one. And I used this on the star, I believe last year too, on the tag. And these are the beautiful AB reflective gemstones. They've got all those rainbow of colors that sparkle through there. So I'm just going to peel that off and stick it right into the center of my star. Press that on really well. I think it is really fun to use these die cut images. They're so beautiful, and you don't have to have all of the inks and ink blending tools and all of that stuff to make a beautiful scene. There are so many decorative papers and cardstocks out there, glitter papers and all of that. A deep bluish sort of night sky color of a watercolor background paper would be nice. That would make a really pretty sky effect. Just look through the patterned papers and see what you can come up with. I think this is gorgeous and I'm really happy with it. So I think on the inside, just to play off of some of the brighter white and silver on the front of my card, I think when I put a handwritten message in here, I will write that in white gel pen. I think that will look really nice, and this will be great to give for Christmas. So I hope we're getting a good start on Christmas cards, good and early for you guys, so you've got plenty of time. And if you use any of these ideas for your Christmas cards to send out this year, I would love to see them. If you're not a member of our Facebook group, please go on over and join us over there. I've got the link in the description below for that. We'd love to have you. There are so many wonderful, talented crafters over there sharing their work, and we would love to see yours as well. Or even if you just want to kind of hang in the background and take inspiration and see what everybody's sharing, that would be okay too. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any more videos. I'm going to be doing a lot of Christmas in July, so don't miss out on that. Be sure to subscribe and click the bell so you'll get notifications. Also follow me on Pinterest and Instagram, and don't forget to visit my blog. I'll have all of the links in the description below, so be sure and check them out. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.